poking around with the principal today.
Thank you.
John, we ready?
Yeah, it was AP English, yeah.
John, we ready? We are?
You
Okay.
guys doing like fun projects?
All right, good evening. I should ask, are you guys already? You guys good? Good evening. It is Tuesday, February 25th, and we are here at Newburyport High School, and we will start the school committee business meeting. Mrs. Yell, can you take the roll, please?
Mayor Reardon.
I'm here.
Juliet Walker.
Present.
Brian Callahan.
Here.
Sarah Hall.
Here.
Brianna Higgins is not here. Kathleen Shaw.
Here.
Andrew Boger.
Here.
Great. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any signatures? Anybody sign in for public comment? Yep. Okay, thanks. Go ahead and come up. I think we're using the podium tonight because that's where the microphone is. And just say your name and address, and thank you.
My name is Carrie O'Donnell, 9 Tilton Street, Newburyport, and I am the Executive Director of the Newburyport Education Foundation. I have submitted a naming rights document that you will be reviewing this evening, but I wanted to highlight a few of the things that have happened in the background for you and the community to be aware of. Naming the new video production studio at Newburyport High School after beloved community member and NEF founder Cindy Johnson has a lot of meaning to us as an organization. As I stated in the naming rights sheet, it is important to note that over 40 individuals, companies, and organizations donated over $50,000, and this number is still climbing, to honor Cindy because of her commitment to not only Newburyport's public schools, but the Newburyport community. There are few people who have committed themselves to this city like Cindy has. I think it is also very important for people to know that if it weren't for Cindy, this entire project even happening at the high school was unlikely. When it was presented to the NEF initially, the cost of the project was way beyond our scope, so much so that we thought it was dead in the water. Because of Cindy's determination and thinking outside the box, she was able to take bits and pieces of the initial design and envision a more realistic project, which reignited our dialogue with the schools. It is because of this that the new video lab and production studio is about to break ground, and also why we chose this room to honor Cindy. When the principal's office was named after Mary Larnard, Mark Welch mentioned in his comments that the one piece they got wrong about choosing to name the room after Mary was that they waited too long, that she deserved to see the community come together to thank her for all she has done. Cindy deserves this public recognition and celebration, and moreover, she deserves to witness it. In addition, although the public may only see the plaques outside the few rooms named after individuals throughout the schools, the Politas family perfectly worded what we hope the room naming program to encompass. Because of the community's involvement in attending the room dedication for their father, Stephen Politas, the ribbon cutting was personal and meaningful. They were so moved by it, but they have now decided to donate another $5,000 to name the room across from Stephen's after their mom, Jane, who recently passed away. It is my hope that many of you here and at home will consider attending the ribbon cuttings for both of these rooms to see firsthand the meaning and thought behind this program. It is not just about raising money, but honoring people in Newburyport in meaningful ways.
Thank you, Carrie. Did we have anyone else for public comment? Okay. So moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is the vote on the warrant.
I move that the following named bills of the Newburyport Public Schools amounting in the aggregate $790,819.45 be approved and forwarded to the city auditor for payment. There are no conflicts.
Second.
Okay, and everyone received a copy of the warrant. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. Next item is meeting minute approval for February 3rd, 2025. Take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or corrections?
I have one.
Yep, Ms. Hall?
Under the communications subcommittee, I think it must have been an autocorrect thing. You'll see the word successors where it should be successes. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other, I guess, corrections? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the vice chair votes aye. Next one is the student representative report. Thank you, Theo.
Thank you very much. So starting off today with the Bresnahan School, third graders in Jill Mayo's class have been working hard on their letters to our Senior Center Pen Pals. They started a program where third graders are paired up with local seniors to correspond with throughout the year. They have a plan to meet and greet in May for the Pen Pals to finally meet one another. Bresnahan students also recently celebrated 100 days of school this year. A huge thank you to the PTO, the Newburyport Fire Department, and Ken Parsagen, also known as Zero the Hero, for making the day so special.
Hopefully no kids are watching at home.
Yes, of course. Zero the Hero arrived on top of a fire truck with kindergartners ready outside to greet him and practice their counting before returning to their classrooms. They also showed him their collections and took class photos and did some fun experiments with crafts and numbers. Fourth graders at the Mullen are preparing for their study of the different states in our country with the annual Great Postcard Chase. Each class will be collecting postcards from each of the 50 states. These are mailed directly to the Mullen School from the state of origin and are used as resources to discover the unique characteristics of each state. Additionally, the PTO-sponsored Mullen Music Bingo Night will also be returning in March. The Knox School will be hosting a student versus parent basketball fundraiser. And that will be on March 26th at 6 p.m. to support the 7th and 8th grade overnight trips. Students and parents will face off in 2 separate games, and the winners will compete against a team of Newburyport faculty members. The NOC is currently in great need of parents to play the game against the students. There are currently 2 signed up, and they would like to have at least 10 to play. There will be halftime festivities and plenty of snacks and drinks. Admission will be $5. Any parents interested should email Principal Marcos. At the high school, the Global Scholars Club recently completed a week of community service on marine conservation in the Dominican Republic. 24 students and 4 teachers worked with the Fundación Verde Profundo, restoring a coral reef and planting mangroves in Boca Chica's lagoon. Students started each day with a 20 to 30-minute class explaining the purpose and science behind their work. Students also got to play basketball with the local children, donating baseball supplies and basketball supplies from NHS. The 7 to 12-year-olds, I'm sorry to say, beat our team quite badly. Some students who went on this trip are also doing college credit through Southern New Hampshire University and EF Tours. Other students are receiving high school credit through EF's accredited education program. I would also like to congratulate Lucius Nelson, who will represent NHS at the Poetry Out Loud competition on March 8th, and the Real World Design Challenge, who are at it again with a national championship this time. This year's challenge involves designing an unmanned aircraft system that can transport a given group of supplies within a specific amount of time to support wildfire management. Lastly, 10 NHS seniors recently participated in the USA Biology Olympics Open exam. Objectives of the exam include nurturing the curiosity of young biologists, developing their interests in life sciences, encouraging the growth of the international network of biology, and propelling excellence in young leaders. Congratulations to Shay Hoffman, Samantha Johnson, Madeline Jackman, Catherine Kebler, Elise Kennedy, Sophie Maniakis, Courtney Metzdorf, Emily Stick, Noah Tarkin, and Danilee Walsh. And thank you to Ms. Colleen Fallon for promoting and facilitating this opportunity for the students. That is all from me. Back to you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Very well done.
I will be playing in the basketball
Oh,
game.
good to hear.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
March
I will
26th.
not.
I have a whole month to get in shape for that.
All right, next item on our agenda is vote on funding for the MSBA Accelerated Roof Project. There are 2 votes tonight, one for the middle school and one for the high school, so we'll start with the middle school. And I don't know, do you want to do a presentation?
Sure. I have Mr. McSweeney will be coming up and kind of just giving the overall process, kind of where we're at, and explaining, what this vote will do for both.
Good evening. Thanks for having me again. So I was up here a couple months ago talking about the MSBA process, and tonight I'll give you an overview of where we are now. So we got accepted into their process, and now we're going through it. Back on January 29th, we had a virtual meeting with the MSBA, and part of that was to go through and they're doing building surveys of every school in the entire state. So part of that now is we're going through. And then this morning was the first part of their actual on-site visit. So this morning we did the Knockmullen. Tomorrow morning we're meeting them again. They're going to start here at the high school and then go over to the President in the afternoon. That will conclude that portion of it all. But where we are now is looking to solidify the monies we need to pay for what they call the design and the OPM firm. So in Massachusetts, under public procurement, any project over $1.5 million, you have to have what they call an OPM, or Owner's Project Manager. Those are typically firms that are hired out. They come in, they work with the school districts or municipalities, and they kind of are the in-between the owners, the school district or the municipality, and the construction and the architects. And they're there for us. They're there to answer questions that maybe we don't know to ask, that kind of thing. So this money that we're going to be requesting for you to vote on tonight, and then we'll go on to the city council for their vote. So my understanding is city council has a 2-read policy, so we'll go to them next week for their first read, and then the end of March for their vote. From there, we'll take all the documents, all the vote counts, everything, and send it into the MSBA. I've been working with them weekly, going back and forth, different dates, different information. As long as we have everything into them by April 2nd, we're still in the process and we're still ready to roll. So hopefully with a positive vote tonight and then a positive vote from the city council, we can continue this journey with the MSBA and get our roofs fixed. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. McSweeney?
Do we have an idea about what the reimbursement is for the repair program at this stage, or?
I believe we're in like a 43% reimbursement rate, but one thing to remember is that's 43% of reimbursable costs.
Right.
So not everything that's going to go into this project is a reimbursable cost. So that's one thing we just need to keep in mind. It's not 43% of the entire cost of the project, it's just of what they reimburse.
But I would imagine because it's a repair program, most of those costs probably would be covered, right?
Yes.
It's not like it's a school cost where there's extras that go on.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, so there are 2 votes, as I mentioned, on the agenda. And in your annotated agenda that you received in the packet explains the details of the motion, basically. So you can basically use that as your wording. But to summarize, the first one is to appropriate, the district is seeking school committee approval for the city of Newburyport to appropriate the amount of $215,000 for the purpose of paying costs of design and owner's project management fees, as Mr. McSweeney explained. So you can use that wording to make a motion, if anybody is willing to do that. Accept a motion.
Does that entail just reading what's there? I
think
think that's
so.
how I've done it
Yeah.
in the past, right? I'll do that.
Okay.
So, motion is, as required by the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the district is seeking school committee approval for the city of Newburyport to appropriate the amount of $215,000 for the purpose of paying costs of design and owner's project management fees for the roof replacement at the Rupert Knox Middle School in accordance with policy DD.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. So that motion moves forward. The next one, similarly, we can use the wording on the annotated agenda, and this is for $275,000 for the purpose of the roof project at the high school. So accept the motion?
Someone else's turn. I didn't.
I move that the city of Newburyport appropriate the amount of $275,000 for the purpose of paying costs design and owner's project management fees for the roof replacement at the Newburyport High School, 241 High Street, Newburyport, Mass.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. All right, so that's the first step.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Good job,
Sweeney.
James.
All right, next item on the agenda is consideration review of the NEF's request to name room 210 at the Newburyport High School in honor of Jane G. Politis. And the vote would be, the motion would be to basically grant approval of the naming rights for that room in accordance with policy FF. So accept a motion with that wording.
Love it. No, I'm going to sit here. No.
We have in our packet a summary of the reasons why the NEF is recommending this renaming and requesting our approval. And as we all know from our review of our policies in the past, we ultimately have to make a decision based on the merits of the renaming request, not the amount of money being allocated or anything like that. But they have the ability to fundraise, and we have ultimately the decision on the naming of the room.
I will move. I'll give in. I didn't want to, but I move that we approve the naming rights in loving memory of Jane G. Politis, my junior year history teacher at Newburyport High School. Room 210 under policy FF.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I mean, I said this last week. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here without Jane Politis, and I actually said it at the dedication of her husband's room when we did that as well. But I think this is a perfect tribute to a really wonderful teacher that literally has stuck with me all these years since having her in class.
I think you were the right person to do that motion.
I know, that's why I ended up.
I'm curious about
giving
room
it.
210 then. Is it a history room? Like,
Well, so the school that existed when we were here and Miss Politis was here is not here anymore. So
right.
I think
what
that-
is the significance?
I think they're just doing it close to
I'm
her
just
husband.
curious.
I can answer.
Should we
Yeah.
have her come up to the podium to answer? Or?
Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, Carrie, you might have to do that.
Sorry to
We'd love
make you
get
walk
this
all
on
the way
record.
around.
Fine, I'd rather.
Yeah,
I'm
we'd love
really
to get
just
this on the
curious.
record.
I assume that there's some significance to why it's that room in particular, so.
Honestly, they really wanted the two rooms to be next to each other, and
Okay.
Stephen's room is across the hallway. But in a meeting that they didn't mean to happen, when they named the room after Stephen, that was, oh my God, I'm blanking. Kevin Sheridan's room. And Kevin Sheridan has since moved to the room across the hall. So it all kind of just fell into, it wasn't because it was a history room. They more wanted the rooms to be next to each other.
Got it. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Carrie. And I would just add, I think the description in the submission from the NEF, to me, is a good reason for, these are the kinds of reasons that we name rooms. Again, not attached to financial benefit, but that, these are people, these are individuals that we do want to recognize, and it makes sense to name a room after them. So I support the motion as well. Any other comments or questions?
I would just be curious, ballpark, how many rooms are named at this point?
I think we can probably provide
we
you
have
with
a
a list. We had a list earlier when we
Yeah, I
approved
remember
the.
that.
Yeah. So, would you be okay with just getting a follow-up to
Absolutely,
that?
yeah.
Okay. All right, we will do that. All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. All right, next is the naming of room 112 in honor of Cindy M. Johnson. Also, a description in the packet related to why the request is being made. So I'll accept a motion.
I think you did so well on the last one, Mayor. You should do this.
It's all warmed up.
I'm trying to save my voice.
For
Oh.
Wednesday.
Okay.
I'll do it. That's fair. That's fair. I move that we approve the naming rights in honor of Cindy M. Johnson
for room 112, which will be the video lab at the high school in accordance with policy FF.
Great,
Second.
great. All right, any discussion? I'll just say similarly, I appreciate the explanation and the justification. I certainly think this is an individual worthy of naming. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. All right, next item on our agenda is the 2025-2026 school calendar, second read. I'll turn that over to you, Superintendent.
From our last meeting and Mr. Callahan's input, we did make some modifications to our last calendar presentation. I can just go through them if you'd like.
Great.
So in September, we moved the Friday early release day 9/12 to Friday 9/19. The next one we did was the January full-day PD from January 9th to Friday, January 16th. And that's the Friday before the Martin Luther King holiday. And then the suggestions, because of the union and AFSCME where Good Friday fell, to shift back, so it would be March. So we moved the 3/27 early release date back 1 week to 3/20.
Great.
And those are the modifications that we made for this calendar for tonight.
Okay. Any questions before we go to a vote for the superintendent?
I have one about
Ms. Hall?
the March date. It was just 1 week away from the April date, and now it's 2 weeks away. Is there any reason why it's not earlier in the month? The rest of them are early in the month, so they're kind of evenly distributed. Is there a reason for that?
I just think it was where we placed it off of the suggestions.
Suggestions from,
Mr. Callahan.
Mr. Callahan?
oh,
It's my fault.
it just still seems
Basically,
like
it fits it.
the rest of them are more spaced out, that's
Right.
all.
That one lets basically 2 full weeks of school on either end of it happen.
Right, because of the February break, right?
Right. So you get the week after February break, then a full week of school, then a third.
Oh, I
week.
see, there's the
Yeah.
break in there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with it, I was wondering why it wasn't earlier in the month.
Okay, any other questions for the superintendent?
No, I think these are all positive moves, and I appreciate you being so flexible with this. I think that in several cases, and maybe that include one, it provides a little bit more rhythm in terms of the academic calendar I'm playing. For instance, after the holiday break, to have a full week of school and then another week before the school development days. I realize that in the past has been very effective, so thank you for being willing to make those kinds of changes for larger considerations.
No problem.
All right, so if there's no more questions, I'd accept a motion to, adopt the 2025-2026 school calendar as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay? Any discussion?
So,
Yeah, Mr. Callahan.
a few people have asked about the April Good Friday holiday, the AFSCME union contract. So it only looks weird this year simply because of how early Easter falls. You know, it's the first Sunday after the vernal equinox, after the first full moon, or something ridiculous.
I don't think that's quite how it's done.
something that convoluted.
Go on.
Why can't they just pick a day?
So, but that's
Anyhow.
why somebody was like, "Why is it so far away from April break?" And I was like, "Because April break doesn't have to do with Easter necessarily." So,
Yes.
I think next year Easter is late again, so it will fall closer to the week of vacation.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. All right. We're waiting. All right, subcommittee updates is next on the agenda. Thanks, Mr. Roberts.
But how,
That includes.
Mr. Callahan, you have any report out on the finance subcommittee?
Yes. I'm sorry. We met on, what day is this? I'm sorry, February 13th via Zoom. Weather-related, I believe, right? Because there was going to be a delayed start that day.
Yes.
We talked about the new fee for skiing for athletics, which we increased by $50 for next winter. We spoke about the gym and space use fees by Newburyport Youth and Rec, formerly NYS. Their contract, which isn't really a contract, but just discussed how they get the priority of using those spaces versus third parties that may want to rent the gyms. General budget discussion, including the tentative agreement we have with the NTA. We'll discuss more of that tomorrow at the IBB meeting. And that is all, and our next meeting is the 13th. And I just want to confirm, are we doing that at 8 a.m. again? People want the 8 a.m.
8
start?
a.m. works for me, if that works for Mr. Vogel.
Sure, yeah, that's great.
Ms. Yell, if you could note that in the thing, please. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So would that be your joint meeting with Budget and Finance, or will you schedule that separately?
Thank you for reminding me about that. I actually heard from Councilors Khan and Zeed, and they will be able to make it on the 20th, which is that joint thing. I've also reached out to Representative Shand, who was going to, she may, I asked her to
Zoom in,
reach out to Representative Cruz out of Salem. He had come to one of those meetings. He was
Yeah,
very,
2 years ago was really excellent having
very
him
good,
there.
talking about what the situation with the state and Chapter 70 and all that stuff. I've not heard back from either one of them, but it's definitely for the 20th, and it's out of the whole, so everybody's invited. We don't have a time or location yet.
In the past, has that been during the day or in the evening?
Late afternoon last time, because
Okay.
the council people had another meeting that night, I think.
Okay,
So we'll figure that out.
all right, great.
Is that a Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday.
Okay.
But that's what you're speculating, late afternoon, evening?
If we follow the last couple of years, 4 o'clock or so, I think.
Make sure it's a time when they don't have to rush out, because that's what happened last year. It was
Yeah.
like 45 minutes, and then they had to leave.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Mr. Callahan. Member Shaw, do you have any updates from the policy subcommittee?
So we did meet, which was good. And I want to also thank our co-chair, who was the former policy subcommittee member, for coaching me and getting me up to speed. So my appreciation and gratitude. And so, yeah, a couple of things. The policies we looked at was staff or personnel use of technology, and the other was access to digital resources. So those are, we're working on those still. And then we're kind of got some stuff that will be coming to us from the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee. So then we'll have more things to talk about next time.
Yes, so,
when we meet.
and that one, that teaching and learning, it's related to the, why does this name always escape? The competencies. Thank you.
Determination. It
Yeah.
doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yes, and so that went through TLC and subcommittee, the policy subcommittee, but Ms. Higgins is not going to be available for this meeting and next meeting, so we'll probably have it on the agenda for the following meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Oh, thank you.
And Member Hall, any updates from the communications subcommittee?
Yeah, I'll just say that we're going to be meeting this Thursday. You can't
Unfortunately,
make it?
yeah, I
Yeah,
can't,
you had
yeah.
told me that. Okay, so it's 5 to 6 p.m. In the Knock Library. We'll be focusing on communications around the budget. And Counselor Afroz Khan will be joining us. So she's going to be a great resource because she's also a member of Budget and Finance. So get a little insight on, what issues or questions the counselors might have in preparation for the joint meeting on March 20th.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, and Ms. Higgins is not here, so no updates from Teaching and Learning, unless another member of the committee.
I can just announce
Yeah.
our next meeting, which I know is correct because I read it off the agenda here. It's next Thursday, March 6th at 6 p.m.
Okay. And any updates from superintendent evaluation? Okay. All right, so that concludes our subcommittee updates. Now the superintendent's report.
Yeah, just didn't provide you the superintendent's report because there's just a couple bullet points, so it would have looked foolish if it was in the packet. We've been working on our budget, and obviously we've been in negotiations with 3 unions, but I believe for Monday I'll be able to present a level service budget, which we typically can't present, to see where we're falling, because we've made some gains, so we can, in negotiations where we can kind of look at where the salary increases across the 400 employees may look like in general. So I think it's really important for us to put together that level service budget to start taking a look at that. So I plan on doing that for everyone on Monday. For athletic director, we met with a finalist, and we are in negotiations, contract negotiations with 1 finalist. And as soon as those are done, then we'll be able to make the announcement of our next athletic director. And we also had suggestions from Ms. Walker, I think at our last school committee meeting, about setting up a subcommittee, which was very helpful. We had our first meeting right before the vacation with Ms. Hall,
Yep,
who
Friday.
chaired that. It was a productive conversation, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Hall to take the credit.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, Mr. Boger is also a part of that effort.
Yes, he is.
And let's see, we had, in addition to central office staff, we had Mary DeLye there and Ethan Manning. Having their expertise was wonderful, because that's, this is their wheelhouse. And one recommendation we got, which we've taken up on, is we're changing the job title to Director of Finance and Operations. That seems to be pretty standard these days. Business managers considered a little, I guess, old-fashioned and not as high level. If you're thinking about your job description and your job title and what goes on your resume, Director of Finance and Operations is more attractive. We also learned that Triton had just posted with that title. And so in the interest of remaining competitive, we changed it on the job description, and also got some advice from both Ethan and Mary on more places to post it, so that it can get more exposure, and hopefully we can cast a wider net. So our goal is to reconvene in 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully with some more applicants. We didn't have a really strong applicant pool when we looked at what we had, and so fingers crossed that in a few weeks, these tweaks will allow us to have a stronger pool. We'll meet again and go from there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, anything else from the superintendent? All right. Okay, I think the next item, sorry, any new business?
New business, yes.
Ms. Shaw.
So this Thursday, the CPAC will be meeting in person from 6 to 7 at the Knockmolin Library. The other meetings that have been confirmed will be April 17th, May 15th, and June 12th. And those, again, will all be in person from 6 to 7 at the Knockmolin Library. And there will be scheduled to be determined where there'll be the basic rights, which is a requirement on an annual basis-ish for the newer IEP presentation. So the basic rights will need to be scheduled in one of those meetings. I'm not sure which one yet. So that's where we're at. So it's great that it's the 3 folks that are co-chairing the CPAC are, getting back to in-person meetings, working really collaboratively, and it's good to see that this, I think, is going to take off in a good direction, because it needs to. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's great to
Yeah.
hear. All right, thank you, Michelle. Ms. Hall, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to let everyone know that I received an invitation to join the planning team for a community cell phone dialogue, something I've been pushing for, so I don't know, maybe you had something to do with that. Thank you, me getting invited. It's being led by Lynn Cody, the librarian here at the high school, and Eric Shilga, who's one of the 8th grade teachers. It's about 10 of us, a mix of parents, teachers, students, and so we're going to meet, they said, probably 4 or 5 times to put together a community dialogue similar to what was done 5 years ago, 6 years ago on the Val-Sal conversation. Both Lynn and Eric are trained in the Essential Partners Dialogue.
Correct.
So, yep, I'm really looking forward to being a part of that effort, and certainly when I know more, I will let you know.
Great. All right, any other new business? Mayor?
I will just remind everyone that the State of the City address is tomorrow at 7 p.m. I hope you all can make it. If you haven't let my office know yet if you're going to attend, we would love to have a seat reserved for you, so just let my assistant know. Again, starts at 7 p.m. Again, the governor will be there, so we're very excited about that. We also have the Public and Community Service Awards that will immediately follow the speech. Our own school resource officer, Kyle McElroy, is getting recognized, which is great. It's nice to see a nice positive article in the paper around an SRO officer,
Yes.
especially recently. And our own Cedar Schumacher is also getting an award. Wow. Let's give him a hand. Very well deserved. And so, yeah, no, we're really excited. It should be a great night. And I was half kidding about trying to save my voice, but I have been practicing my speech a little bit. Should be great. I hope everyone can make it.
Great, planning on it. All right, any other new business? All right, so the last item is a vote to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing, well, whoever wants to make the motion. Can say all that.
Well. Go ahead.
Yeah, just keep
All right. I'll move that we vote to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations, possible litigation, and/or legal matters, and we will not reconvene in open session.
Second.
Roll call?
May Reardon,
Yes.
Julia Walker,
Yes.
Brian Callahan.
Yes.
Sarah Hall.
Yes.
Breonna Higgins, who's not here. Kathleen Shaw.
Yes.
Adrian Bolger.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schumacher.